Hey guys, Aidan Booth here. I wanted to film a quick video with you to talk about some things that I think will be important if you make any kind of investment decision to ever purchase any kind of online education, be it from me, be it from anyone else out there. And I think with the way the industry is changing, some of the lessons that I might be able to share with you might be able to leave you in a good stead for the year to come. So I am going to be talking a little bit about breaking the shackles, but much more than that as well. And what I ultimately want to leave you with here today are 7 lessons that I've picked up in 17 years of running different businesses. And I think they're things that might be able to help you have a better year in 2023. And again, regardless of whether or not you invest in some of my training, someone else's training, or nothing at all. So, some quick background. I've had over 17 years of being in the trenches with building an online business. I've built 6 different multi-million-dollar businesses in that time. I've helped thousands, actually tens of thousands of students come through my online education programs and build online businesses. And I'm very fortunate to have done over $100 million in sales throughout my businesses over that time. So, you know, I've been around the block a few times. I've seen pretty much, I think, everything that you could imagine seeing online. And I've had highs and lows. You know, I've had struggles and triumphs. And chances are I've been where you are right now at some time or other. And even if I haven't been there, chances are some of the students that I've worked with and mentored and coached, both virtually and actually in person as well at live masterminds that I've run, have been where you are. And I put quite a bit of thought into thinking about a series of foundations that could help you see more success, not just in your business, but in your life as well. And commonalities that I've seen amongst people who have been able to push on with their online businesses and achieve amazing things in their lives. And also, you know, the commonalities amongst the people who have struggled. So on the agenda in this video here for you today, I'm going to be talking about how you can potentially break the shackles that might be holding you back. I'm going to talk about 7 simple shifts that will almost sort of force you down a path that's more congruent to success. The number one secret to success online that I've seen over all of these years, and a simple lesson that I think will serve you well as you go about building any kind of online business, but particularly an online business in 2023. So why do some people achieve huge success and others seem to sort of float along aimlessly through life? I think a lot of it has to do with your current reality. And what I mean by this is the things that you expect of yourselves. It's easy to expect average and behave in ways that are congruent with getting average results, and then guess what? You get average results. And most people get stuck in the current or the flow of life, and life, for better or worse, pushes them along, and things don't change all that much from year to year. And one of the easiest ways to get things changing and to get things happening is to change what you expect of yourself. And if you expect success and behave in ways that successful people behave, then you will be putting yourself in a position, you'll be doing the things that will bring more success to your life. And to build on this idea, I've got 7 important mindset shifts that I think will set you up for success in 2023 if you want to take some of these on board. And even if you only want to bring a couple of these into your life, I think that you'll still be so much better off for it. So the first thing is to actively seek radical change. You've probably heard the saying, you know, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And if you don't want to get the exact same results you've had in the past, then don't do the exact same things you've done in the past. It's vital that you do something different. And by doing something radically different, you are putting yourself in the best position to achieve something that's different. And sometimes you do something that's different and you end up worse, but at least you're ending up different, right? And I think you can also mitigate a lot of risks and stack the odds of success in your chance, success to your side when you are doing something different if you pay close attention to some of the core fundamentals of whatever it is that you're considering, and I'll talk more about these in just a moment. Now, there's this image of what personal growth looks like, and it's something that I've always got at the forefront of my mind as I'm teaching people, and also as I'm trying to grow myself. And I think we all know what it's like to be in the comfort zone. We've all got that established comfort zone, and when we are looking at doing something different, doing something new, oftentimes we are quickly forced into that fear zone, and this is where you can find excuses. This is where you can lack confidence and often decide not to do things. But magic starts to happen when you push forward and do things anyway. And something that I often say to myself when I'm considering doing something new is I try to bring logic back to it, because it's easy for the emotions to get the better of you. And I say to myself, what's the worst that could happen here? And if there's not a huge downside, then is there potentially a huge upside? And if there is, then that's oftentimes something that I'll like to do, and that moves me into the learning zone, and that in turn sets me up to get into that growth zone, which I think is where the magic happens. And it always happens though when you go outside your comfort zone, and then when you grow, your comfort zone sort of expands. And I think this is why so many millionaires, if they went back to having to start over, they would have no doubt in their mind that they'd be able to succeed, because they've done it before. They've got a different comfort zone. And in online business, I think all of this is true. You have to constantly be pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, trying new things when you want to get different results. The second point I've got here is just to embrace failure. Most people give up on their online business dreams before the magic happens, and I think that if you can accept that failure as part of the journey, it becomes so much easier to stomach. And I've failed dozens of times, countless times. I can't even remember how many times I've failed. But my wins dwarf my failures, and sometimes that one win can compensate for dozens of failures. It certainly has in my business experience, and I think it could in yours too. And if you failed in the past, that's absolutely fine. Just don't let it stop you from trying again in the future. Otherwise, your hopes really are doomed. I see a lot of people online, especially, who have a bad experience, and that bad experience, it almost like kills their dream. And it's really sad when you see that happening, because if that person would just be able to realize that failure is part of the path here, accept it, embrace it, and move on anyway, they would probably be able to achieve their dreams. And the things that you have or haven't achieved in the past don't have to have a bearing on whether or not you're going to be successful today. The most successful people live in the now and have the ability to almost compartmentalize what's happened in the past, understand what's happening right now in the present, and embrace that. And if failure is part of that, then that's absolutely fine. It's par for the course. And I haven't met anyone who's had huge success who hasn't had their fair share of failures along the way. So embracing failure is a big one. The next point that I've got here is to understand your why. And this is just so important. And I think a lot of people tend to sort of skim over something like this, and they say, why do I want to build an online business? I just want to have more money. And I think if you drill down deeper, it allows you to find something which is going to help you push on through the tough times, because it's inevitable that getting to major success, you're going to have some bumps in the road. There's a graphic that I love, and it's like people imagine success is like in a straight line going from point A to point B, when in reality success is like a squiggly line going everywhere, and eventually you end up where you want to get to, but not after or not before having gone through lots of trials and tribulations. And when you ask yourself why, and when you really dig out what is the real reason that you want to do this, it makes it that much easier. Now, when I started my online business in 2005, I had a really strong reason, and I'll tell you very briefly my story here. So I met my wife while I was doing a ski season in Lake Tahoe, California in 2003. She's from Argentina. I was in New Zealand at the time, and I wanted to go to Argentina. So eventually I finished my studies about a year later, and I went to Argentina, and I had no money at all. And I had a loan that my parents had given me, and if I didn't get something going, if I wasn't able to get an online business going, then I would have to come back to New Zealand and get a job. And it wasn't a realistic prospect of me getting a regular job in Argentina either, because I couldn't speak Spanish and I was on a tourist visa. So my way out was to figure out how to make online business work so that I could continue to pursue my dreams of, at that point in my life, being in Argentina and being able to achieve geographic freedom. And thankfully, luckily, and I was able to achieve that. And nowadays, though, obviously my why has changed. I've got 2 young kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. And basically everything that I do is to help them. And not just help them, but to be able to support a lot of different charities as well. We've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to charities over the past few years. We've built schools. We've helped, children who are suffering on the front lines in conflict situations. And these are things that keep my feet on the ground and keep me in the now. And, my reason why, for a lot of the time, for why I want to continue building my business. So I think if you say you want to start an online business because you wanted financial freedom, then ask yourself, why do you want financial freedom? Because you want to be able to purchase the things, whatever it is that you want to purchase, and so on and so forth. And you go down 7 layers, and eventually you get to what it is that really drives you, and you can use this to fuel your fire and to keep you pushing forward, and try to keep that at the forefront of your mind. Now, there's a great football analogy, or soccer analogy, as one of my business partners refer to it, and it's basically this idea around your best chance of scoring in life is to regularly put yourself right in front of the goal. And if you can put yourself, and if you can get the ball right in front of the goal, then you've got a much higher chance of actually succeeding than if you don't get the ball in front of the goal. And this is, we've had this present itself to us many, many times over the years. I'll give you one quick example. Must have been about 8 or 9 years ago, I had the opportunity to open an office in China. And it was primarily for the e-commerce business that I have, which is an amazing business, but that's a story for another day. And we were sort of humming and hawing over the idea, should we go down this path, go down this rabbit hole of opening an office in China with everything that entails? And we sort of looked at it and we said, is this going to be putting ourselves in a position to win? Yes. What's the downside of doing this? What's the upside of doing this? And it was just a no-brainer. And that office has allowed us to build an e-commerce brand which does millions of dollars every year. And we've got products sold in over 20,000 stores in 56 countries around the globe. And I don't think we would have achieved that if we hadn't adopted this philosophy of trying to put ourselves in a position where we could win, put ourselves in a position where the magic can happen. And I think as you consider any kind of online opportunity or make decisions around the future of an online business, it's important to ask yourself, is the decision you're making something that's going to help you or put yourself in a position where you can score? Now, number 5 here is clear vision and focus. And I would sort of recommend that you set aside some time and really write this stuff down. A lot of people just sort of gloss over this, but there's a lot of power to be had in actually figuring it out and achieving clarity around what your objectives are. Where do you really want to be? Don't just gloss over that. Like, really sit down and think about that and define it. And how much money do you need? And what's the best vehicle for you to get to where you want to be in terms of an online business? Write it all down, map it all out. And you can do this by spending 30 minutes, 60 minutes, just mapping this stuff out. I think when you put pen to paper to do this kind of a thing, at least for me, it really gets clarity happening. And at that point, I've got a really strong and clear vision to push forward with. Staying focused and pointing the ship is important. I've got a friend who not that long ago crossed the Atlantic, actually multiple times in a vessel on his own, and he said to me that it was very rare that his boat was pointing in the direct position that it needed to be going. Sometimes it was going further north, sometimes it was going further south, but by constantly pointing the ship and sort of recorrecting, if you like, he was able to get to where he wanted to go. And I think in online business and life in general, you can continually course correct until you get there. If you know what your destination is, that's the key though. And if you don't know what your destination is, then it's kind of like you're flying blindfolded. It's kind of like you're trying to get from the east coast of the United States to the west coast without any signage or GPS or anything like that. So I think first of all, you need to know what your destination is, and then you can kind of work backwards from that and figure out how you're actually going to get there. I think building a success circle or an inner circle is really, really important, and it pays off in dividends in lots of different ways. I mean, just surrounding yourself by people who believe in you, believe in what you're doing, it's kind of like a tide that rises all boats. And sometimes it's not easy to do this locally, but the beauty of online business is you can do it virtually. So look for places where there are communities and try to get involved in them. Think about attending live events where you can buddy up with people and talk about business in a place, in a setting where other people are going to understand what you're talking about, speak your language, and encourage you to keep pushing forward. Adopt a there's no tomorrow attitude, and I think procrastination is something that kills a lot of businesses. A lot of people spend a lot of time planning and thinking, but results happen when rubber hits the road, and you've got a whole year ahead of you, but I know that whole year is going to go in the blink of an eye unless there's focused and sort of dedicated and deliberate action. So just taking action is not enough. It needs to be taking deliberate action, doing the right things at the right time, and understand that miracles happen in the now and never in the later. It's the things you do today that are going to impact who you are and what you have tomorrow. There's normally a delay between when you take an action and when you reap the rewards. So if you're focused on doing things in the now, that's going to set you up for success later. So to sum up these, and then I've got a couple of other important points here. Radical change, seek it. That's the best way to get different results, is by doing different things. Embrace failure. Failure is not a problem. It's an opportunity to learn. And everyone who achieves anything worth achieving normally fails a lot along the way. But you can use that to your advantage. Understand your real reason why. This is something that's going to keep you battling, keep you pushing forward when you do hit speed bumps. Put the ball in front of the goal. Set yourself up and put yourself in a position to be able to succeed. Have a very clear vision and focus, because without that, you're kind of going to be floating along somewhat aimlessly. Build an A team and an A network. Surround yourself with people who encourage you and speak your language and are going to help push you on. And adopt a there's no tomorrow attitude as well. And I think the biggest secret of all is keeping it really, really simple. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate what they do, especially in online business. And really at the heart of it all, there's not that many levers that you can pull. There's not that many things that you can change. And there's actually only a handful of different business models available. And there are lots and lots of reasons why I believe 123 Profit is your best bet in 2023. And I could talk about this for hours on end. But I want to do something a little bit different and talk about what we refer to as the opportunity matrix. Now, what you're looking at here is a list of 8 different business models, and the one I've highlighted in yellow is 123 Profit. And all of these are good business models. In fact, I participate in pretty much all of them, and I've built multi-million dollar businesses out of most of them. But they do all have their strengths and weaknesses. They do all have their pros and cons. And I think if you're analysing and assessing different businesses, it's good to be able to do it in a way that is kind of logical, with some kind of a framework around it. And I think this is a good way of breaking down what some of the key considerations are when you are considering different opportunities, because the reality of the matter is that if you choose one opportunity, it may come at the expense of not doing another. So you want to make sure that you make good decisions. So Amazon FBA, that's the first one there. That's selling physical products on Amazon. That's a model that's been around for a decade. We do a lot of that. Works well. I think there's a lot more ongoing maintenance and a lot more startup cost associated with that than some of the others. Traditional affiliate marketing, also a good model, also something that we've done a lot of. I think one of the challenges with this is going to be with traffic, getting the right traffic that actually converts. On the plus side, there's not all that much startup cost, and ongoing maintenance is pretty low. I mean, affiliate marketing, even traditional affiliate marketing, has been what a lot of people have considered to be the holy grail of online marketing, however, or of online business. But with the traditional affiliate marketing, I think the thing that sort of makes a lot of people struggle a bit more around conversion rates and traffic, and I'll talk more about this shortly. Then you've got other options there as well: Kindle info products, consulting, drop shipping is a big one that we're involved with, and software as a service. I think if you're looking at all of these though, and without me going through each one on a granular level, ask yourself, how much traffic do you need? Are you going to need hundreds of visitors per day to be able to reach your income goals? Are you going to need thousands of visitors per day to be able to reach your income goals? And then where are these visitors going to come from? A lot of drop shipping over the past few years, a lot of the traffic has come from places like Facebook, which is interruption-driven marketing. It's like someone is browsing through their social media feed and they get an ad popping up at them. That's not a real sort of value-added way of doing marketing. There's nothing wrong with it, but is it as sort of congruent and aligned with someone who is searching for something, and then you serve them up that thing, and then they go through and take some action with it? No, it's not. I mean, that's ultimately what you want to achieve, and that's what, by the way, that's what the likes of Google and so on want you to achieve as well. It's delivering value to people, and that's what we focus on with 123 Profit. And conversion rates are tied to how congruent your offer is. If someone is searching for something and you give them that very thing that they're searching for, then obviously you're going to have higher conversion rates. However, what's the number one thing that kills conversions? Oftentimes it's the price tag. If assuming everything else is all good, it might be the price tag. And what we've been able to sort of engineer, if you like, into the way that we run our 123 Profit model is we don't need to sell anything to anyone. So this automatically takes conversion rates to a whole new level. It's the kind of thing that takes conversion rates from 1, 2 or 3% to 30, 40, 50% or more. And if you're getting sky high conversion rates, what does that mean? It means you don't need as much traffic. So these two things are interrelated to one another, and then you've got the payout on top of that. And another really important factor in all of these models is to think about, well, how long is it going to take you to see results? Is there a clear path to seeing results, and is that path something that you can follow and see results to in a very short space of time? And certainly with 123 Profit, I mean, we've seen people get results in a matter of hours when they actually turn the traffic on, which can't be said as far as I'm aware for any other model that I've been involved in. Now, with any kind of business, there's this thing that I've been speaking about for quite a few years now called the math of money. And the math of money is around the 4 different levers that will impact or ultimately dictate the amount of money that you have in your pocket, the amount of money that you make from your business. And the factors are traffic as a first one, and this is the lifeblood of any business. And you can think about online businesses, or sometimes it's easier to think about offline businesses, like the lemonade stand that you can see there. Conversion rates, so how many people of the traffic that you get, like what percentage of them are actually going to buy something, how much money or how much profit are you going to get from each sale, and how many repeat sales do you stand to get. And if we look at the 123 Profit model, which I can talk very easily about here, traffic is in the realm of millions and millions of visitors. I mean, there really is no limit on this. However, you don't need much traffic, because if you can get 10 visitors coming to a web page and 5 of them create a conversion, which is an action whereby you make money, then you don't need many visitors with that kind of conversion rate. So the conversion rate is astronomical. It's through the roof. There's nothing like it in online business that I've found. In terms of dollars per sale, there are other business models out there that have got good conversions, but they've got very, very poor dollars per sale. Whereas here we're talking about oftentimes making $100 or more in a single sale. And obviously there's a lot of power in that when you layer that on top of incredibly high conversion rates and potentially high traffic. I mean, you're sitting on a virtual gold mine at that point. But then you can take that even further if you can recycle and reuse the traffic and the customers, and that's exactly what we do with 123 Profit. Now, the power, and by the way, we do that by leveraging a whole back end, which involves emails and different bits and pieces, meaning that you can get the traffic one time and you can reap the rewards of that traffic, and you can monetize that traffic for years and years and years and years to come. So you stand to make dozens and dozens and dozens of sales potentially, and much more money compared to other businesses that only allowed you to get paid one time. Now, these 4 levers are important, but the magic happens when you see how they interact with one another. So let's say, for example, that you've got a lemonade stand, and the first metric that we're talking about is visitors, okay, traffic, and you get 100 people walking past that lemonade stand. Your conversion rate might be 1, so 1 out of those 100 people in that time frame are going to buy something. The dollars per sale might be 1, so you're going to make $1, and you're not going to get any repeat sales, so you're just going to have 1 for repeat sales or number of sales. So from that you would have $1. Now, if we were to double each of these levers for a second, then the traffic would go from 100 to 200, okay? The conversion rate would go from 1% to 2%. The dollars per sale would go from 1 to 2, and the number of repeat sales would also go from 1 to 2. And if I just pull up my calculator here, we can quickly work this out. So we've got 200 visitors. We're going to multiply that by 2%. We're going to multiply that by $2, and we're going to multiply that by 2 repeat customers. That comes to 16. Now, 16, and I've got one of my helpers just beaming in here to help me. I'll be there soon. So that's a multiple of 16, which is just through the roof. Just by doubling each one of those factors, we've gone from $1 to $16. And the exact same process can be used for online business. So that's something really powerful, and I think that you can apply that to any kind of business at all that you're doing, online or offline for that matter. Now, the 123 Profit model has some big benefits. I'm going to race through 16 right here for you. Firstly, you're not selling anything. We've spoken about that, and obviously that means that you're able to get much higher conversion rates. You don't have to deal with that whole process of actually selling anything. There's very high profit potential. The websites are simple. I haven't spoken about that much in this video, but it's actually not really a website. It's more like a web page, and it could have 20 to 30 words on it. There's very low risk with this business model. No barriers to entry. It can be done from anywhere in the world. Insane conversion rates. The traffic is completely solved, and you don't need much traffic either. There's no dealing with people, which is a breath of fresh air. I know a thing or two about dealing with people in my business. I'm fortunate to have quite an amazing team, but I've got a workforce. I've got a team of about 140 people, 150 people at this point. It's quite refreshing to be able to have a business model as part of what I do, where I don't need any team at all. And with the 123 Profit model, you really can do this as a solopreneur, because there's just not that many moving parts that you would need to hire anyone to help you with. So that's actually quite refreshing. There's no need for capital. You're not buying inventory or anything like that. You're not dealing with Facebook ads or any ad that you need to change every week or every couple of weeks. We've got ads running with 123 Profit model that have started off on micro budgets and have continued to run for years on end without touching them. And we can get more into how we do the ads another time, but it's just very simple. It's using the likes of Microsoft and Google, serving up for people what they want. And in terms of creating the ad, you've only got like a dozen words that you can actually use anyway. You don't have that much space, so that in itself simplifies things and forces you to keep things simple. I like the fact there's no reliance on a single platform. It's not like Amazon is going to come along and shut you down, or Facebook is going to come along and shut you down, so you don't have that single point of failure. You can see very fast results. I mean, you can see results in hours for real when you turn this on. Competition's not an issue. There's very small time investment, and you're building something that you own, something that's real, something that can grow in value, something that you could sell, something that you can control as well. So I think there are lots of big benefits to this. And I think just to sort of wrap up here, you've always got an opportunity to do things that go with the current or sort of fight against the current. And I think this is something that it's almost like a trap that people fall into, where they just keep doing the thing they've always been doing because that's what they're doing, even if the markets are changing and even if the current is potentially pushing you in a different way. And I feel like everything that we're doing with 123 Profit is very much aligned with the current. And again, I'm talking a lot about 123 Profit because that's a product that I'm pretty proud of and is available right now. But I want you to think about all of these questions that I'm posing for any kind of a business model or decision that you may need to make. I mean, you can go, are you going with the current? Are you going against it? Is the thing that you're doing the easiest thing to do today? It might have been a year ago, it might have been 2 years ago, but is it still the very best thing today? Or are there other things that you could consider? I've spoken about the 3-door theory of success a little bit in the past, but the real lesson here is that oftentimes people give up before the magic happens. The money is always there to be had. You can always make money from an online business, but in order to do so, you need to overcome obstacles, and the obstacles present themselves in different ways. With online business, people tend to be able to get through 1 or 2 obstacles, maybe, but oftentimes sort of give up if there are too many obstacles. And so what we really try to do is find a way that we can line up or align getting a quick win with also building a long-term business that's going to be able to build you up genuine wealth over years and years to come. And I think you can achieve that if you come into it with the right mindset, and if you understand that there are going to be obstacles that are going to present themselves in the way, but as long as you have that stickability, as long as you have got a team around you of coaches that can guide you in the right direction, there's not going to be anything that's going to stop you. I mean, it took me a couple of years to make my first big breakthrough online, and coincidentally my first big breakthrough was of a very, very early version of the model that we're talking about here with 123 Profit. And there were many opportunities when I could have just given up on my dreams, but that wasn't an option for me. I wanted to succeed no matter what, and I think that's something that you can take on as well. And this here is one of my favorite sort of graphics that I think everyone can understand here. You just never know how close you are to being able to achieve your dreams, and to achieve that breakthrough, it can absolutely happen, but you have to keep at it. So don't give up on your dreams before the magic happens. I think 2023 could be amazing for you, but you need to stick with it. And I can hear my little helpers in the background behind me. I've got my kids like invading. In fact, they're through in the next room. So anyway, don't give up on your dreams. The magic can happen as long as you don't give up on your dreams. So I wish you all the best for whatever it is that you're going to do in 2023, be it building a business with the 123 Profit model, be it doing something else. So thanks for taking the time to listen, and all the best for the year ahead.